Things you should know for this week. This is your weekly reminder. The look on the back of the bulletin, that is where all the good stuff is. And if you like having a bigger monthly schedule, they're available out at the welcome table. Please silence all phones or other exciting electronics you may have here with you today. And this is your reminder that this service and all services here are live streamed, so you may be seen on camera. We've got some neat stuff going on this week. On Wednesday, August 5th at 9 a.m., our very own Richard Canarelli will be a guest on the morning show of WSLR.org, Fogartyville Radio. He'll be talking about separation of church and state, and Rich is really good at this, so it's worth a listen if you got a minute. The August 9th, next week's designated collection will be for Also Youth. And Also Youth is dedicated to empowering LGBTQ plus youth and their allies and creating inclusive communities in Sarasota and Manatee Counties, Florida. So that is next week, not this week. Anna gave me this. Social Justice will be writing postcards to voters after the service today. So if you want to join in on that one, it's at Waters Hall. Meatless Monday is this coming Monday, 5 p.m., Waters Hall. Come early to set up. And if you haven't gone to a Meatless Monday yet, it's well worth stopping in. Food is good, conversation is great. And on Wednesday, August 5th at 4:30 p.m. at Hotel Venezia, we are having a Justice Social. So if you're interested in social justice, go on over to the Justice Social, meet some people, have a great time. It's a lot of fun. We light this chalice for the courage to look deeply, to question the labels that we have inherited, and to seek the sacred whenever truth and beauty and human dignity are revealed. May this flame illuminate not only what we see, but how we choose to see it. Well, good morning. It is so great to be here today. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Venice, which we lovingly call UCOV. It's good to be with you. It's good to be together. And it doesn't matter if you have been to the finest museums in the world, or if your favorite art was drawn by your 4-year-old grandson, you are welcome here. We're happy to see you if you can debate pointillism versus cubism, or if you're pretty sure that Salvador Dali is the guy who owns the pizza place in Northport. Today we're talking about the sacred and the profane, and we're talking about it through art, but it really could have been literature or music or anything else. Why is some labeled sacred and some labeled profane? Can art really be a profanity? And what is art anyway? Who gets to decide all of this? So we'll explore it a little and give you something to talk about tonight with dinner. Come, let us worship here together. rise in body or spirit as you are willing and join in singing our opening hymn this morning, number 347, Gather the Spirit. Service when we do our offering, and we always do it with a joke because giving should feel, if not good, at least not painful. So Morris was the board president of a little UU congregation, and his absolute best friend in the world was Reverend Esther, his minister. And Morris and Esther loved the state fair. And every year, the congregation treated them to a day pass each to the fair with an allowance. And every year they went together, and every year they walked over to the helicopter rides. And every year, Morris would say, Reverend Esther, I'd really like to ride in that helicopter. And every year, Esther always replied, I know, Morris, but the church is paying for everything, and that helicopter ride is $50 of the church's money. $50 is $50. Well, one year, Reverend Esther and Morris went to the fair, and Morris said, Reverend, I am 85 years old, and if I don't ride that helicopter this year, I might never get another chance. And Esther said, Morris, that helicopter's $50, and $50 is $50. And the pilot overheard them arguing, and he said, folks, I'll make you a deal. I know the church doesn't let you spend a lot. I'll take both of you for a ride, and if you can stay quiet, not one word, for the entire ride, I won't charge you anything. But if you say a word, it's $50. And they agreed, and up they went, and the pilot went nuts. He did every stunt he knew. He did every fancy maneuver. He did every daredevil trick, and he did not hear one word. When he got on the ground, he kind of glanced over his shoulder, and he said to Morris, boy, I did everything I could to get you to yell, but you didn't make a sound. I am impressed." And Morris replied, "Well, to tell you the truth, I almost said something when Esther fell out." $50 is $50. I'm not going up in a helicopter with any of you. The morning offering will be given and gratefully received. I know I say it every week, but it is so important. Thank you. Thank you not just for whatever you gave today, but for everything you do for the life and the work of this community, because it matters. Because we are a real community, a community of hearts and hands, and this is the place where we come together to share our joys and our concerns. If you have something that you want to share this week, please raise a hand and Marcia will bring you a microphone. And I'd like to say first, it was Nancy's birthday yesterday, so happy birthday.
Good morning. I have two joys. Today is my husband and I's 57th anniversary, and we're having another grandchild.
Our dear friend Judy Heipel is having surgery this week. On Wednesday, she's going to have her aortic valve replaced. So kind of a big deal, and I hope you'll all keep her in your thoughts.
I'm Donna Jewett, and I just want to say hasta luego. I am leaving next week until the end of September, so I won't see you until October. And I'm looking forward to going back to New England to see all my friends and relatives, and I just really look forward to that. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pam Palmer. I have a sorrow in that a bunch of crazy people are really annoying a wonderful gentleman who worked for the government for over 50 years. But I also have a joy in that on the internet yesterday I saw someone suggest we send him thank you cards to Georgetown University. And my thought is if we can send 1 million cards, it's got to be on the news. So I'm myself sending 20 postcards and a thank you actual card. So I hope you all do. And I also want to remind everybody it's time to sign up for August dining out, which would be at Deep Lagoon, August 25th. It's on the Lanai.
Yes, hello. And I would just like to add the news about Judy. She'll be coming home today. She's right up the street in this hospital, only to go downtown in a couple of days for her surgery. So we're looking forward to that.
I'm Roxy Platt, and I have just finished nearly a year of treatment for cancer, and during that time, people here have sent me notes, cards, phone calls. I received 5 yesterday, just yesterday, still flowing in. I just want to thank all of you and say, you have no idea how much it has helped me get through this process. I'm going up north to sell my house up there. I'll be back in about 8 weeks, and I will see you then. Thank you. Thank you all.
May the love of this community hold everyone who needs love and concern, and may the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world. May those who are grieving be comforted, and those who are tired find rest. May the broken places be healed, and may those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant. Our meditation today comes from words written by Atticus, and Atticus wrote, "The magic of art is that it has the power to turn our pain into poetry." With these words in mind, please join me for a moment of thought, meditation, or prayer. Our reading today is called On Sacred Art and Profane Art, and I don't agree with everything this writer says, but I'm going to let you hear it. It's by Dr. Andrew Taggart. As the manifestation of the divine in form, sacred art is beautiful. That beauty is only channelable, however, for those who have prepared themselves through deep spiritual practices for the reception of divine inspiration. Similarly, sacred art is only appreciable, nay, lovable, by those who have become spiritually ripened to the point at which the apprehension of simple, perhaps understated beauty can be immediately felt and fully imbibed. For some years, I've been horrified by the preponderance of profane art. One such example is Tracy Emlin's My Bed, and Google this one if you ever want to. It's an interesting piece. I don't know that I'd say it's a good piece, but it's interesting. In this piece, we see Emlin's actual bed, where she slept, had sex, smoked, and drank alcohol for 4 days straight. That's the entire art piece, is the bed and what it looks like after 4 days of life. He writes, "To be clear, we need pass no uncompassionate, uncharitable moral judgment on Emma or her life, both of which are of no concern to me, nor is such a judgment on point here. Instead, our hearts should feel weighted down by the direction that much postmodern art has taken. A move where an unsound, disordered life, an ugly soul, is treated to critical acclaim on the grounds that one is being at once courageous and original. To the ugly soul, alas, there goeth ugly art, and we are the worse off for it. For our souls are in no way blessed by the near ubiquitous experience of ugliness, hollowness, and above all, a sense of lostness." Now I want you to kind of keep that piece and its ideas sort of floating in the back of your mind when we get to the sermon. Because like I said, I disagree with quite a bit of what he had to say. So please rise in body or spirit, and as you will, and join in singing number 131, "Love Will Guide Us."
Speak before thousands, you can give
Okay, and if we can go ahead and cue up the PowerPoint, we'll be good. When we hear the words sacred art, many of us probably think about similar things because we've had similar backgrounds. Stained glass windows, images of the Buddha, maybe, Islamic calligraphy or a Navajo sand painting, maybe a Renaissance Madonna staring at the baby Jesus, very stylized. Now, when we hear profane art, our mind goes in a different direction. We might think of obscene work, blasphemous work even, maybe pornography, maybe something that's just deliberately offensive or in terrible taste. Sacred art belongs in a sacred building. Profane art doesn't. Maybe. So who gets to decide which is which? Who guards the temple door? Is something sacred just because it depicts a religious subject? Is it sacred because the author intended it to be sacred? Or maybe because a religious institution approved of it? Or maybe just because it inspires reverence in the viewer? A question our legal system has debated much more is, what makes the profane profane? Because it contains nudity? A lot of museums would argue with you there. Because it involves bodily fluids or sexuality? Maybe it's because it offends someone or questions a religious symbol. And what happens when the artist says, this is sacred, and a church or other religious institution says, this is blasphemous? What happens when two people disagree violently on if something is sacred or blasphemous? And what happens when you take that same profane work, enough people like it and appreciate it, it ends up in a museum, and now everybody approaches it and speaks in hushed tones about the way it looks and the composition? Is it sacred now, at that point? The word profane started out just meaning outside the temple, literally. So if things were used in the temple, great. And if they were meant to be used out in the world, great. The name for the stuff used in was sacred. The name for the stuff used out was profane. It had no other meaning, no negative connotation. It just meant you couldn't use it in here. Sociologist Emile Durkheim argued that the separation between the sacred and profane and the choices a religion makes about which is one of the foundations of a religion. Sacred stuff is the stuff the community sets apart, and it receives special attention, and there are rules about what you do with it. It's not sacred because of the object itself. It's the community that makes it sacred. Now think about that for just a second. What if somebody said to you right now, this minute, hey, we need a chip bowl for after service. Can we use this one? We're going to put potato chips in it. Why shouldn't they? It's just a glass bowl, isn't it? But it feels terrible to go, hey, let's go put some chips in here. We'll take the Bernie stuff out first. It's not a chip bowl. It's sacred, maybe. Chalice is just a bowl with fire. But when we gather together in community and we are in covenant and we speak sacred words using this week after week, it becomes more than a cup. So the sacred becomes a relationship. And that means it can be changed. People break sacred objects. If I drop this tomorrow, our faith doesn't require that it be buried or carefully pieced together and continued to be in use. No, we pitch it. We're sorry. It was sacred, now it's not. We don't tend to fetishize sacred objects. Us, the Quakers, you look around, you don't see sacred iconography hung all over. Now, Catholicism is a little bit different. If you can pull the first slide, please. Many churches display figures of Jesus, big or small. And the work you see, that is actually intended to be placed in your home. It's a small version, and according to Dr. Remy Amaluman, who's a theologian, the blood of Jesus is the fountain of salvation, and each drop that flowed from the wounds of the Savior is a pledge of man's eternal salvation. So for someone who is a Roman Catholic, this statue of a beaten, abused human is a sacred image designed to help you meditate on Jesus' sacrifice. For some of us, it is frightening, sickening, grotesque. We certainly wouldn't have it near a child or a grandchild. Sacred, profane. Give me the next one, if you will. In 1987, this is one of the most argued about pieces ever. In 87, Andreas Sereno created this photograph. Its title is Immersion or Piss Christ. The title was deliberately chosen to be offensive. It is a crucifix immersed in urine. When you see this in real life, that photograph is very large. It is beautifully luminous, reds and yellows. Golden and reddish light surrounds the crucified figure. If you did not know the title or the material, you might assume that it had been shot through amber glass or with a fire behind it, or maybe using some form of glowing resin. All you need to know, though, is the name. And the minute you hear the title, everything changes. Sacred, profane. The title tells us what we're looking through, and what was devotional becomes offensive. Becomes maybe disgusting. For some viewers, this is a straightforward desecration. The crucifix represents the suffering and death of Jesus. Putting it in urine feels abominable, blasphemous. But Serrano, who was raised and still is a Catholic, says the work wasn't intended as an attack on Christ. In an oral history, he said it's not meant as a provocation. Christianity is centered on incarnation. It proclaims that God entered a human body. God became Jesus. Not the idealized body, not a perfect body, but a body that sweated and stank and bled and went to the bathroom, a human body. And crucifixion itself was not clean. It was not dignified. It was intended to be degrading. At the end of the day, a cross, a real cross, was 250 pounds of shaggy wood, not polished gold. It was wood, and it was covered in blood and sweat, and urine. Could Serrano's image be read as a reminder that Christians have made the cross beautiful and decorative and safe? But it wasn't. It was disgusting. Could it also be read as contempt for Christ? Sure, absolutely. Could it represent the humiliating physical reality of crucifixion? Maybe. Maybe it was a criticism of the commercialization of Christian symbols. That's a 78-cent plastic crucifix. Could it be sacred and profane at once? That may be the most unsettling possibility, because it makes us ask whether sacredness has something to do with the material surrounding a symbol, the intention of the artist, the response of the viewer, or just the history carried by the symbol itself. What if he had named this immersion in gold and not told you what the gold was? Or what if he had really used amber-colored urine or amber glass, but told you it was urine? Sacred or profane? It's a great question. What disturbs us the most? And if our answer changes when we read the title, then the sacred and the profane may not reside entirely in the image or idea. They may also reside in the story we've been told about the image. Now, our next slide. Most of you may have heard of Robert Mapplethorpe. How many of you know who he is, the photographer Mapplethorpe? Okay, quite a few of you. He has kicked up quite a fuss. He died of AIDS quite a while ago. But while he was still young and alive and photographing, he kicked up quite a fuss. His exhibit in Cincinnati, Ohio in 1990 caused the museum to get raided. They raided the exhibit and tried to shut it down completely. He presents us with a similar set of challenges. He photographs flowers and celebrities and artists and athletes and naked bodies. He photographed members of the LGBTQIA+ community and the fetish community. Some of his photographs are serene and elegant and beautiful, and others are sexually explicit. Some call them courageous, some call them pornography. This is his photo Orchid. And if you look at that, the lighting is extremely controlled on it. The composition is very deliberate. The background is sparse. That flower is not decoration. It's given the visual weight of a portrait. But even here, categories get messed up. Museum commentary on his flower photographs in this series talks about the fact that the petals and form suggest sexual anatomy. The flower is botanical and sensual and innocent and erotic and natural and highly constructed all at the same time. On to the next one, please. Now, when we compare the one we just saw, Mapplethorpe's photo is on the left here. That is his Thomas and Devana. It was shot a year before Orchid. It has that same attention to shadow and balance, proportion and pose. He didn't create one to be respectable art and another for transgressive art. He was just making art. And that may be expressly why some of his more graphic, which I cannot show here today, why they cause such a stink. Because prior to that, we were used to calling them just pornography. If you saw someone with a bullwhip where a bullwhip shouldn't go, you went, oh my God, that's disgusting, that's horrible, that's pornography. And it was shot on cheap film and it was done in a tawdry way, but he didn't do that. He shot every object like high art. His work claims the authority of art, even when a lot of people would say the subject is profane. Now, when you look at his Thomas and Divana, and you compare it with The Rape of a Sabine Woman, which is a 1598 piece by Mueller, side by side, you can see the similarity of composition. Mapplethorpe's work has been called profane, that piece, for its depiction of an interracial couple, for its depiction of the nude male against the fully dressed female. Mueller's piece is considered classical high art. Sacred, profane, profane, sacred. A lot of the fuss about Mapplethorpe was the fact that he was gay, that he had AIDS, that he took pictures of other people in that community. It was about what could be shown as art, and about whose body could be treated as beautiful, and whether explicitly queer work could be put in a museum. Now we have to be careful here, because calling something beautiful doesn't make it ethical. Beauty doesn't excuse exploitation, and artistic freedom doesn't eliminate questions about consent and power and harm. But calling something pornography doesn't end that discussion either. Pornography and art are not always separated by nudity or explicitness. Now, a Renaissance painting, as you all well know, can be totally naked. And an advertisement can be fully clothed and still reduce a human being to an object. Which moves us along and makes us ask, perhaps one distinction is what an image asks us to do. Does it ask us to appreciate a person or to consume a person? Does it flatten a person into just body parts? Does it encourage cruelty or curiosity? And are we responding to the image itself or to our discomfort with the people there? Mapplethorpe makes us ask, can something be stunningly beautiful and still profane? And this is part of where I disagree with the reading we had this morning, who feels that everything sacred is beautiful. Beautiful is sacred, sacred is beautiful. Mapplethorpe makes you ask yourself, is that true? If you Google or if you go buy yourself a book, I heartily recommend it, of Mapplethorpe's works. There are some in there that I am forced to struggle with. Are they profane? Are they sacred? Are they beautiful? Are they horrible? Because I don't know. Something can disturb us and still carry sacred truth. If you go to the next one. We can look at propaganda and say, wow, that is beautifully, perfectly designed, and it is. It's well done. It's an obscenity, but it is beautifully, perfectly designed. Next one. An advertisement can be elegant and exploit insecurities, and a photograph can be brilliant while treating its subject without dignity. The photograph of the woman there with the hairdryer says, well, I may not be able to use it, but it sure is fun to have. The Love's Baby Soft says innocence can be sexier than you think. That is an 8-year-old child in that picture. Profane? Beauty and goodness, those are all beautiful. The other one, he's blowing smoke in her face from his cheroot, and it says, blow in her face and she'll follow you anywhere. But it's beautifully designed. Beauty and goodness are not identical, and discomfort and harm are not identical, and explicitness and profanity are not identical. Go to the next one, please. A photograph of war may be unbearable to look at. That is modern-day Gaza on the right. And reveal instead the sacred worth of those who suffer. The 4-year-old on the left was picked up by ice. Images can make us hurt. They can break our hearts. They can make us sick and not be profane. Go to the next one, please. Now, the next one is fun. Michelangelo's David. Most of you know what it is or have seen it, have at least heard about it. It's one of the most admired sculptures in the Western world, and David is totally nude. Absolutely not a stitch on him. Yet he is displayed in art history books and museums and schools and religious discussions. His nudity is referred to as classical, idealized. He is a biblical figure, but Michelangelo still portrayed him utterly nude. He is communicating tension and vulnerability and courage. But David hasn't always been sacred. Queen Victoria felt he was profane. To the point, what you see on the right is his fig leaf. She had that fig leaf made after seeing a full-size plaster cast which arrived in Britain in the 19th century. She was so offended she had the fig leaf created so that it could be hung in the appropriate area on the sculpture. And for those of you who know how big David is, this fig leaf is almost this big. Very large fig leaf. Because she wanted his unmentionables removed from visual. The Victoria and Albert Museum still displays that fig leaf today. The sculpture and David's body didn't change a lick. Perception did. Sacred, profane, profane, sacred. Go on to the next one, please. This one's another fun one. These are two different statues of Lucifer created by two brothers, the Gief brothers. The one on the left is profane, the one on the right is sacred. Joseph Gief created L'Ange du Mal, or the Angel of Evil, for the pulpit of St. Paul's Cathedral in Liege. His Lucifer, as you can see, was nearly nude, classically composed. Church authorities thought, not to put too fine a point on it, it was too sexy, too distracting. The church figures who were looking at it found themselves very uncomfortably distracted by it. So the commission went to Joseph's older brother, and his replacement, L'Eugénie du Mal, is the one on the right, was found to be perfect and was installed in 1848. The difference, his Lucifer is chained, and symbols of fallen power lay about his feet, and the figure turns away in shame. We are meant to understand him as defeated. He is still beautiful, still hot, and still naked. But they were great with the one on the right, profane and sacred. You know, I have to wonder how much of a smart aleck the second brother was to do that. If we put all of these side by side and we took away the labels, they're all very beautiful statues. Neither sacred nor profane, just really nice embodiments of the male body. This is the power of context and titles. A museum tells us how seriously to take it, and a church tells us whether or not to revere it, and a government tells us whether it can be funded, and a school board tells us whether kids can see it, and a critic tells us whether or not it's art, and a community decides if it's offensive. And sometimes the authorities aren't really judging a darn thing. They are holding on to the power to control meaning. So who really should get to decide? Well, us. All of us. We cannot allow anyone outside of us to tell us what is sacred and what is profane. So I would ask a series of quick questions to run through your head when you look at something and have to decide what it is. First of all, why has it been set apart? Is it a symbol, a tradition, an interpretation? Does it protect a valuable, vulnerable community? Does it protect an institution from criticism? What's the difference between those two things? Second, what does the work ask us to notice? Beauty or suffering or desire or hypocrisy? Is it unpleasant because it's empty and degrading, or unpleasant because it makes me look at a truth I don't want to see? Third, how are people treated inside the work? Were the subjects capable of giving consent? Are they human beings or reduced to objects? Who benefits from this work? Who is vulnerable? Artistic freedom matters, but so does dignity and accountability. I love the fourth question. Are we experiencing harm or offense? Offense can be painful, but offense and harm aren't the same thing. An image may offend me because it mocks my identity or my ideas. We need humility to ask, what am I feeling? What am I looking at? Am I hurt? Or am I just offended? Fifth, who's being excluded by our definition of decency? A friend said to me one time, you know, when somebody looks at this beautiful, classically composed image of two intertwined lovers, both perfectly proportioned, white, they can be nude. That's lovely. But if you made that a 600-pound woman who happens to be black, and a man who happens to be a dwarf who is white, and you had the same entwinement, people would say, oh my God, you know, what's... Don't rush to call something offensive because it's unexpected. Who is being excluded by our definition of decency? Sixth, what is the context for a work? Is it a serious study or just an image forced on an unwilling viewer? Seventh, what happens within us when we look? Do we become more compassionate and honest and curious, or crueler, more contemptuous? You have to remember, the sacred isn't always the pretty one. Sacred stories are rarely that tidy. Beautiful sacred images made over hundreds of hours of work may be great, but so may a cave painting made eons and eons ago, a crude hand on a wall. That's sacred too. The sacred is not merely what looks holy, and the profane is not merely what looks shocking. And in the end, each of us must decide for ourselves what we believe to be sacred. And to do that, we have to listen and listen and listen and listen to the artist and listen to the religious communities and listen to the bodies and identities that are represented and listen to people who see an image as liberating and listen to the people who see it as wounding. And then we check for ourselves. Something can be beautiful but morally troubling and offensive but spiritually important. And we might even change our minds. That's not weakness. That's the work of a living faith. We're not required to call every work sacred. We are required to resist letting someone else make every decision for us. And we're not here to create a final tribunal of good taste. God knows we're not here for that. Our task is to enter a covenant of thoughtful encounter. We can say that offends me without saying so no one else can see it. We can say that is beautiful without saying therefore it is good. And we can say this is art without saying therefore it's beyond criticism. And we can say that is sacred to me without expecting it to be sacred to anybody else. The border between the sacred and the profane has always been guarded by human beings who sometimes protect what is holy and sometimes mistake their own comfort for holiness. So who gets to say? Well, again, us. Us. Everyone gets a voice, but no one gets the only voice. So go out and appreciate some art and let me know what you find. Amen. May we carry the light of our chalice into the world to shine on both the sacred and the profane. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn this week, number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth. With eyes open to beauty and minds open to questions and hearts open to the sacred and unexpected places, may we judge neither art nor one another too quickly, and may we always choose curiosity, compassion, and courage. Peace, ashe, and may it be so.